Recently, I was offered a key to try a game. After looking it up, I thought, sure, looks like a fun little asteroid clone that I might get 10 minutes of enjoyment out of. Wow, was I wrong. To put this into perspective, this review was meant to be finished 2 days ago. Every time I start up the game to get a few minutes of footage, I get hooked and start playing for hours. Nova Drift is a roguelite action RPG with a classic arcade retro feel to it, developed by Chimeric and polished by Pixel Jam. Its premise is simple. You fly around in a biomechanical ship, destroying other ships. So if it's that simple, how did I accidentally play for hours without even noticing? I think part of the reason is how the RPG element is implemented. As you defeat enemies, you pick up experience orbs which level you up. The first 3 levels you get will allow you to choose your gear. This is your weapon type, your body type, and your shield type. After those initial choices, each additional level provides a choice of mods. Each mod has its own respective tree, and activating a mod opens up that tree, which allows you to invest further into it, opening up more options. In this run, I wanted to try a simple long-range sniping build. So I choose the railgun, which has high single target damage, but a slower fire rate. Many different bodies will work with the railgun, but I choose to run with the assault body for the extra projectile velocity. The railgun's damage scales with projectile velocity, so more velocity equals more damage, simple. For my shield, I choose Amp Shield, which increases weapon damage while active. This shield is weaker than the others, but has a shorter cooldown to compensate. Next, it's time to start adding mods. I wanted more damage straight up, so I pick up Velocity for obvious reasons, but also Magnitude and Payload, which increase total damage, but those 2 mods also lead into Charge Shot, which allows my railgun to charge up a shot, further increasing its damage and velocity. The downside being it also further reduces the fire rate. But the railgun can pierce enemies, so if I can position myself to take advantage of that, I won't notice the loss of fire rate as much. Now I have the start of a build that could lead me to one-shotting bosses. Sadly, I didn't get that far in this run, but that leads me into the replayability of Nova Drift. The game iterates very quickly, as you would expect from an arcade-style game. But each time your run ends, your score determines how much global experience you gain. When you earn enough to rank up, you unlock something new, a new challenge modifier, which will increase your score for the next run, a new mod tree, body types, weapons, all of which can be added to the loot pool for your future runs, allowing for highly customized builds. You can even unlock super mods, which have a very powerful effect that synergizes very well with certain builds. Take Hidden Power, for example. After you unlock it, it will only be added to your loot pool if your ship has at least 4 sources of secondary damage. It increases damage by 50%, which is huge. But the downside, and yes, most of these super mods have a downside associated with them. Hidden Power's downside removes your weapon. I hear you all now. Timmy, how are you supposed to do damage without a weapon? There's actually multiple ways. For example, in this run, I choose the Halo Shield, which burns enemies within the radius at the cost of doing damage to my shield. This shield, coupled with a few mods to increase burn damage, shield durability, etc., made my ship so hot that enemies would spontaneously combust if they ventured too close. I have to admit, it's extremely satisfying destroying those space centipedes with this build. All of this leads to a large replayability value and allows the player to learn all the different tree mods and mechanics at a steady rate, rather than dumping everything in the player's lap at once, confusing them in the process. In most games that allow customization, there are normally only 1 or 2 viable builds. Creating multiple viable builds while ensuring none of them are more powerful than the others is an incredibly challenging task. However, Chimeric have done an amazing job ensuring there's a huge amount of viable builds, each with their own playstyle, strengths, and weaknesses, while maintaining balance. Nova Drift has just entered early access and is available on Steam and itch.io. Links are in the description. When I say it's in early access, this isn't one of those minimal viable products where the developer strings the player base along for a wild ride of bugs, lack of content, and horrendous optimizations. No, I can tell Chimeric is very passionate about Nova Drift, because in its current state, it feels polished and feature complete, to the extent that the game feels finished in my opinion. Anything more we get on top of this is just icing on the cake. And there is a lot planned for this game during its proposed time in early access. There's new challenges, new mods, gear, even a campaign story mode. The amount of synergy embedded in Nova Drift is truly astounding, and I can't wait to find a new build. I think I'm gonna go try a shotgun style build. Maybe the flak cannon with siege weaponry would work well together. Well, I'm gonna go play around with that. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you found this informative. As always, don't forget to lead your targets, and I'll see you next time.